Dispatch is one of those unique games that is one of a kind, with it holding a lot of Telltale games ideas while being able to have more of a quest simulator inside of it with what we know as Robert doing the dispatching. And there's controversial things about this game that have a lot to do with the story and how you perceive the game, to the point it can basically make or break it. Whether it comes to the romancing side of it, which a lot of people have in mind, or simply just how it's written between the characters and how much time we get between each one versus these love interests. It's very complicated to why people love but also hate Dispatch. For now, I would like to basically critique each character because of the importance of how we interact with these characters more than even the plot. But for the characters that we spend minimal time with, excluding the big ones like Invisigal and Blonde Blazer, we truly, exceptionally, do not get a lot of time with these characters, even if we do love them at the end of the day. With a lot of us going over to comics and such just to get more details about these characters, I still do feel like this limited time is very well perceived with the community and myself personally because of how we get to see these people. While we do not get to see these people on an emotional scale, nowhere near how we get to see Invisigal, we still get to see a different perspective into the life as villains, and there's several different reasons why, even though they can be sharply neglected. Like to this day, for example, I do not know why Punch Up is a villain. I mean, he's having fun, but like, that's it. Him and Coop could be great examples for people that we should have gotten more content from, but with it being only 8 episodes, I still kind of find it reasonable with their screen time, but just not for how much the love interest took. For another little side comment, as I was saying before, the plot really did not take over the story, which to me, that is a big con to it. Though I still do give it a lot of praise because it is one of the firsts of its kind, even though we've had game media for a long time now. With Robert being in the spotlight of this game that's essentially about him being able to get back to being Mecha Man again, we do not get to see a lot of his rivalry throughout the game because we're just so focused on other side topics. It truly felt, to at least me, that we were kind of losing the plot for a lot of the time as we were focusing too much on either Blonde Blazer or Invisigal, especially when it came to just letting it melt all in afterwards. But for the biggest and most longest point through critiquing this game, even if I haven't played it and I only watched gameplays, it's very visible that the main approach to this game was definitely the love interests and getting a lot of the people that were more into shipping rather than gameplay into this. Of course, there's fighting clips, whatnot. Yes, there is. But it seems like a lot of their time went more into the relationships between both Blonde Blazer and Invisigal. To start off with Invisigal, she was a pretty straightforward character that we got from the beginning. Many people were actually coping over the fact that she did not seem to have a lot of heavy interest as we might have with Invisigal, which I will get into later. But Blonde Blazer stands as a pinnacle for the game, as the example hero, as the thing that everyone wants to be, and she was, in my opinion, a great ex for Phenomenon. Again, I did not read any of the comics, so I do not know the exact reason why they broke up. But for them breaking up, I feel like it was a good character choice because you do not see that a lot in games, especially stories or movies, with how people deal with that. But we get a good adult role model for like any normal adult at her age, how they would act compared to anyone else's in the story, who was very, very immature, as arguable as that is towards Invisigal and how they compare to everyone else. We do have to remember, they were Punch Up was literally thrown out of the office when they were trying to discuss if she should have been cut or not. Prism literally pulled up with a knife on Punch Up, and then Flambe, he was just mean to someone that was his coworker basically the whole time. Golem, I mean, he was just rude, but I have no solid arguments against him. He was just kind of chill. And then Sonar is just Sonar. But yeah, none of these people were mature, making Blonde Blazer really stick out for her point inside of the story, even if it did kind of come off as flat. But that is to say that the main focus of the story really did take back a lot of potential, even though it did give a lot of significance to what's going on and giving more world building rather than attention to the plot. And the person, of course, that I'm talking about is Invisigal. Invisigal was introduced to us being a very freaky and very hostile person, as she just has some stuff to say out of her mouth that was not necessarily good for the work environment. But she didn't necessarily ever work her way to the top. She was very honest with us as soon as we did gain a relationship with her, not romantically, just a platonic thing, for us to be able to understand, hey, I feel like I'm a villain. It's not going to turn out that way. And that gives us an amazing impression on how the environment of this world works and how people feel with or without their powers because of the curse. Like you can see in My Hero Academia, nobody gets really what they want. And just like how I've seen in this universe, not everyone perceives their power necessarily as good nor useful. And that's an amazing perspective, but we definitely need more episodes. We did not need a lot of Invisigal content. But she was definitely a better romance option for me, even if people do disagree. That's their own opinion. Perfectly fine. But I find that Invisigal's character growth does show, as I said, it just shows how this world works. I feel like a lot of this is still flat though, and if it was divided between the two seasons, it could have worked much better than how it turned out now, with the between of having combat and the story, just to like keep those people who are usually there for the fight scenes there. It was not too much into the plot for me at all. To that to say, the art styles, amazing. The character designs were amazing. The world building, I will say, that's one of my most favorite things because of the context that we get from people, especially like Phenomena Man. So we have aliens on this place. Of course, I'm gonna feel a bit sad about it. But for the overall plot, I will say that it's very lacking in how much character detail we get outside of the big three characters. It's also just very lacking inside of the story. That is to say that I will keep loving it. And if you guys have any more recommendations on what I should watch and critiques, let me know.